It's the first Monday of a new month. Oh man, like my Bass Pro Shop. There's a Bass Pro Shop out here in Las Vegas. That is, I don't know if anybody's been to a Bass Pro Shop. Jennifer Flowers. Hi, Jennifer. Dawn Lamont. Oh, I used to have a crush on you back in the day. I have a crush on Jennifer too. Rockefeller's in. Wow, a lot of people joining already. I'm glad I went on TikTok. Had an interesting weekend. I moved. I didn't move far. GS. Well, Kyle joined. Wow, a lot of people. I had an interesting weekend. So, for those who don't know anything about Vegas, I was living on Paradise and Twain. Jimmy Gallo. So, I was living on Paradise and Twain, and Paradise and Twain is it's not the coolest part of town. It's really cool in the fact that the Sphere is like every time I walk out, the Sphere is right there. And I miss you, Jen. Jennifer Flowers, everybody who I guess would be known because she's a talented singer and a very beautiful woman. And there's the number two top seller of was it Penthouse, Jennifer? And yeah, she had the second highest grossing Penthouse uh, in the world at the time. And Ryan Hope Radio just joined. So anyway, I'm living on Paradise and Twain again. I get to see the Sphere every day. Which if anybody hasn't seen the Sphere in Vegas, it's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, Jennifer had the second highest next to what was it, Williams? Well, I can't remember her name, but yes, very beautiful, and she's best known for her that, and also her brief affair with Bill Clinton that he denied, and he lied to everybody again. And if you go on my YouTube channel, you can watch my interview with Jennifer. It's very revealing. Bill liked he had some fetishes. He liked to wear a blue robe, which is not surprising. The fact that he's in a blue dress and a painting on Epstein's Island, and he liked to squirt ketchup and stuff. Very, very, very weird guy. But Jennifer was very candid in her interview with me on my YouTube channel. Not brief. That's right. They said it was brief, and it wasn't brief. She was with Bill for a very long time, and it's just check out the interview on my YouTube channel, Grillo's Aftershock XL, and you can check out all the good information there. But it got to the point where her and Bill were just wasn't just a fling or an affair; it became a relationship, and it went for a while. So, but Jennifer gives all the details on that. So anyway, my weekend. So I had to get out of my building. The Sphere is not too far from the Westgate, but it was like it was the epitome of the wrong side of the tracks. If you ask anybody from Vegas, 12 years Jennifer was with Bill, and they lied right to your face about it. Same thing they did with Monica Lewinsky, and I don't know what's going on now, but I would guess it's the same thing considering their track record. So I'm on Paradise and Twain. Every time, right before I moved here, I actually, Steve Sharippa, who was on The Sopranos and on Blue Bloods, and he's just a generally nice guy. He used to live out in Vegas, and he sort of he was an entertainment director for one of the big casinos, and everybody said call Steve if you move into Vegas. And when I called him, he was very nice and he was very helpful. And then when he found out, he said, "Where are you moving to?" I said, "Well, not knowing Vegas at all." I said, "I'm moving to Paradise Twain." He was like, "No, please don't move there. Don't move there." And I went silent. He goes, "You already signed the lease, didn't you?" And I went, "Yeah." So I moved to Paradise and Twain. I just kind of left New York. Like it was sort of like a similar situation in New York. I was calling it Hell's Kitchen West, considering I lived downstairs. I lived upstairs from a bar called Flex. And my first night that I moved into the apartment, I went for a walk, and there was a bar called Flex. And then also I got nervous. Well, not nervous. It's just instinct where if you're able to walk, I would still act. Yes, Eric. I'm acting right now. I'm acting like I'm interesting. So I moved Paradise Twain my first night out there. I walked and I knew that it wasn't exactly a place for me to be. I think the premise was I was an undercover cop, and so I had to I walked with caution. And one night I got filed out of the bar casino thing that was kind of local that I walked to. I called it the Star Wars Cantina because every time you walked in there, you didn't know what kind of creature you were going to find. And it kept me entertained for that purpose. But I didn't stay there too long. I got followed out by somebody that was trying to talk to me at the bar, and I already had an encounter with her and her boyfriend in the back. They sort of were in the back of my apartment complex. Hansi, you're always there, always coming through. Well, I appreciate you, Hansi. Anyway, we chased him out, and she didn't realize that it was me. And then she tried. So anyway, she followed me out, and she was going to try to fucking, I don't know. She was behind me watching me. I knew what she was doing. They murdered somebody about 100 yards away from where I parked my car, and one morning I woke up and there was a bunch of police like right outside my door, dragging two people that broke into an apartment that were squatting there. And then I woke up Saturday morning and they literally robbed the mailboxes. Put a high dock line, and they basically crowbarred open the mailboxes and they just stole all the mail. Luckily, I had a place set up. I'm actually moved to a really cool place thanks to Wendy Snapple and her husband Steve. So I moved to Spring Valley, and it's actually I moved all weekend all by myself, all by myself. I've like loaded my truck up and made trip after trip. And I'm bringing all that shit up the stairs, but I now, for the first time in my life, I'm paying the same amount of money, which is crazy. I'm paying the same amount of money till from Paradise and Twain, which I will not put down the apartment that I was living in. It was perfect for me. It was a one bedroom, had a nice kitchen, and I love to cook. So I was cooking and enjoying it. But every time I walked out, I had to, there was always something. So all weekend, that's what I did. I moved. Most expensive thing you've ever stole? Whew. I think I stole this girl's heart once. That was expensive. I stole. I don't know. I'm not that big of a thief. Sometimes things, don't get counted in the shopping cart, and I don't protest it. But um, I don't know why you'd ask a question like that. I stole. I know I wasn't very good thief. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I had one friend that just he got off on stealing. He liked to rob houses and shit. I was always the lookout. I never wanted to go inside the house. You know, it was crazy. But yeah, I had a friend that he was a child. When he was a child, my mother was babysitting. We've been friends for that long, and we were in the shopping cart, and my mom was babysitting him. He was probably like 3. I was like 5, and I was so jealous he got to sit in the shopping cart and I didn't. But by the time my mom got to the checkout, his pockets were full of batteries. And my mother was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Well, that's what my mom told us to do." So his mom was she had her kids fill in the pockets, and their pockets. I guess if they ever get caught, her excuse is bad kid, bad kid. So his kid, yeah, if we went to a store, he just everything went in his pocket. But I wasn't a big thief. I always felt guilty, or you know, sometimes if I stole, I don't know. I can't say if I stole something that I could did it on purpose and felt good about it. From Brooklyn, on my wrestling team in high school, we stole everything that wasn't nailed down, and it was because the coach told us to. he, we didn't get much of a budget in the Catholic High School League. It wasn't a popular sport, but they had to, you know, let us do it anyway. And then, the football team got to do this and that, blah blah blah, and they got medical kits, and we got like band-aids. And so my coach, instead of protesting to the school, which he did, we went to tournaments and we just filled up our duffel bags full of everything. I We stole timers, we stole anklets, ankle wristbands, we stole headgear. I still have my senior year. We stole like two of the opposing kids' warm-up suits that I still have in my trailer upstate. Somehow or another, it got into my possession. And yeah, there like one kid from Xavier and one kid from Farrell. We stole their warm-up suits and headgear, but it got kind of vicious. We started going when we went to tournaments. We stole football equipment, and the coup de grace was, I think it was Liberty High School up in New York. We went to a tournament and we stole their 1954 basketball championship ball, where the whole team signed it. It was in a glass case, and one of the kids somehow jimmied the case open and stole a basketball. And we went back home, and coach goes, and then we would leave the tournaments and get in the van, and my coach would turn around and go, "Okay, what do we got?" And he'd be like, I got a Walkman, I got a timer, I got a medical kit, I got this, I got that, I got headgear. He goes, right, send it up. And he'd take what he wanted. And whatever, it got dispersed throughout the team. And we went into what was it, a Pizza Hut on the way home one time. And we stole like all the cups. And my one friend filled up his glove with, he filled his glove up with like cutlery. It was like knives and forks, but he took like so many. And then on the way out, something happened. Someone bumped into him, and all the forks and knives fell out in the right in the middle of the restaurant. And my coach, yeah, he yelled at him, and we ran out. But meanwhile, he was like mad at him because he wanted the knives and forks from Pizza Hut. We got those big red cups from Pizza Hut. That was always kind of fun. And we stole everything on the wrestling team, but it was encouraged. We broke into the school cafeteria, and the only thing we could get was those giant sacks of the syrup for the soda. So we stole them, and we were making our own soda with water in the room. It was kind of fun, and yeah. So that thieving for wrestling was kind of part of the thing. It was a game, but I wasn't much of a thief. I was just looking online, and I saw something. All of this Epstein's talk and all this child trafficking, all this horrible pedophilia that's going around. I guess there's, and I know this for a fact. This is why I'm going to tell this story, and it's a very good story. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere because this story has an insane ending. So the story that I read was about how guys, older middle-aged men going down to third world countries and paying for sex with children. And that's abominable. I think that's horrible. There's nothing to encourage about that. And the reason why I'm telling the story is because at a young age, I experienced someone who did this and didn't know how to handle it. So there was a bar that I went to. I'm not going to say the bar's name, all of the bouncers' name, but there was a bouncer at a bar. He used to let me and my friend in. We were 17 years old. It was in it was in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. And the bouncer was a big Tommy. He was a big fucking dude. And every, once in a while, he'd go away for the week and then he'd come back. And then at the end of the night, he had no problems, no qualms telling everybody what he did. And I was too young and too drunk at the end of the night to really comprehend. It was kind of like, he kind of made it seem okay. And because he was such a big, intimidating guy and nobody else said anything, I just kind of let it go by. But he would go down to like Cuba or some other country that was sort of exotic, a beach town kind of thing. And he would pay these people's parents like $100, which to them is it was like $1,000 to let their daughter stay with him for the week. And he was like, it was great. She would cook and clean and this and that. And this guy was probably about 6'5", 350 pounds. So he really wasn't getting anything in the States, which doesn't justify anything. But if he wanted to get something, he had to go down. And he would say, yeah, but down there, they can say, he made all these excuses. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And so now years later, I'm working on the Howard Stern show, and they do a story very similar to the one that I just told you. And it wasn't him, but they did this time. The FBI followed the guy down to the third world country and busted him on the way back. And I went on the air and I said, I used to know a guy that used to do that. And he made it seem like he was a big, fat, sweaty bouncer at this bar I used to hang out at. And Howard, yeah, whatever, get out of here. And then I literally went off the air. The first phone call that I picked up was like, Howard Stern show. You're talking about Big Tommy? I go, yeah. He's like, I got his number. Do you want to call him? I go, give me his number. And I call Big Tommy, and he picks up the phone, and I go, hey, Tommy, I don't know if you remember me, but it's Steve Grillo. I go, Steve Grillo, oh, my God, I'm so proud of you. You're on the radio. I listen to Howard every day, and every time I hear your name, I tell everybody, I know Steve Grillo since he was 17 years old. I said, listen, you remember you used to tell me about, tell everybody about going down to those vacations and shit? I said, he goes, yeah. I go, would you want to come on the air and tell Howard the story about what you did? He goes, as long as he doesn't use my name, no problem. So I'm all excited. This is a big deal. I've transferred him through, and I said, the guy on the phone, I used a different name. Let's call him Big Mike. Said, Big Mike's on the phone. He's the bouncer that I was just telling you about. And the first thing Howard says, of course, is, oh, Grillo says you're a big, fat, sweaty guy. And I'm like, thanks for throwing me on the bus, motherfucker. So anyway, he goes on the air, and Howard like kind of ripped him apart, and he got sick of him, and he threw him off the air. So that was that. Now, cut 2 years later, I'm working at a place called Restaurant Brunelli, and I was in the back. I was bartending, and I was in the back doing something, and the owner, Russ, who's been on my show, comes out, and he was like, we got a problem, and you got to go outside and take care of it. And I go, now, I've been off the show for a good 5-6 years, I guess. You know, that story was probably maybe almost 10 years old, from possibly 10 years old. Like, yeah, it happened like years before I even got to work at the restaurant. And I had been off the air for a long time. And I come outside, and there's Big Tommy standing there with two other big guys. And I go, well, holy shit, Tommy, what's going on? And he goes, I'm a big, fat, sweaty guy, huh? And you understand, this guy's about 6'5". And I go, oh, whoa. I didn't say that. Come on, bro. He goes, you set me up. You put me on the air. You made me look like a fucking pedophile, you fucking jackass. I go, there's nothing I could do right then and there, okay? If I run, he knows where I work. He knows people that I know. I didn't know this. And he goes, and he goes, me and you, we got to talk outside. Now, look, I could have ran. I wouldn't have gone. I could have got away, but I knew it wasn't going to go away. So what I did was I manned up, and I stood toe to toe. I don't know. I was like, Sal, I don't know what you're going to what you think is going on here, but I didn't fucking set you up. You knew you were going on the air. I told you were going on the air, and you talked to Howard for a while. So I don't know what that's. You're going to do something. You might as well just go and do it. And I expected to get knocked the fuck out. And he looked at me, and I thought I was about to get a palm full in the mouth. And he picked me up and started shaking me around, going, Stevie, I love you. You got balls. And I looked in the window inside the restaurant, and everybody's faces up against the wall, thinking I'm going to shit my pants. It was basically a setup. Tommy had no fucking problem with what happened. And they've been planning it for months, because Tommy was a friend of Russell's, a friend of Russell's, and he heard I was working there, and they've been trying to set me up this whole time, waiting for me to shit my pants. And everybody was like, wow, you were going to sit there and take a punch from Sal? I was like, what else was I supposed to do? I'm not going to fucking run. He's going to want to do it. It's going to happen eventually. So that's the story. But yeah, it's kind of pathetic. And now I just saw a story now that all this FCC, they're really going after these scumbags that are going down into third world countries and paying, not just from what I understand, you get them for like however long they stay with you the whole fucking time, and they're children, and it's okay with their culture. Like their parents are like, please take my daughter, and the daughter's like, yeah, thank you, we get to eat for another month, and it's just okay. It's not okay. It's not okay at all whatsoever. So anyway, that's about that. So I moved. That was my weekend. I'm trying to do this little thing every day. Hi, Dana. Matt Sheep. How you doing? Can't wait to see you, Dana. It's going to be soon. Be here before you know it. And yeah, my friend Dana Sith Queen's coming out to Vegas. Can't wait. It's always nice. It's cool to live in a city where people make a destination. You know, they come here, and everybody comes here. It's not like I moved to like North Dakota. Who the fuck goes to North Dakota? And you know, it's a travel city. So I had Gary Garver. If anybody is a Stern fan, knows Gary Garver was our LA correspondent for Howard. I've known him. We figured out this 92, because when I used to get there, Gary Garver was like the board engineer for LA, and I used to have to fax him the commercial logs every day. And that was part of my job after I got Howard settled in. And then I had to start doing the commercial logs. I had to go photocopy every page. And then I had to, at that point, there was only 4 affiliates. There was, JFK in Washington. There was Baltimore. There was Philadelphia. And then number 5 was KLSX in California. So, and it was the beginning of fax. fax machines were just like, so on top of everything else I had to do with the news for Robin, whatever guests might be coming in, before the show started, I had to get all those faxes out to, so I had to do it to 4 individual affiliates. And Gary Garver was the LA one, but the LA one was the most important one because we were live in New York at 6, but we went live in California at 3. So Gary had to he really needed those call logs because Howard was so erratic on when he would stop and when he wouldn't. He was never on time. So he really needed to know exactly how long the commercial break was. So in order to get him back live on the air. So Gary Garver was out here. We went to some weird show at Area 15. If you don't know Area 15 out in Vegas, it's really cool. It's like all these VR things and all. It's just like, it's all like the futuristic fun things. Like I want to try this one thing where you go in, you put on VR glasses and you literally walk around and you think that you're getting on a spaceship and you go to another planet. And everybody, all the reviews that I saw of it, it's basically the experience is like you feel like you've gone to another universe. But they have all different things. So I went to Area 51, something Bingo Loco. Oh, what a waste of money. I wouldn't go back. But the thing was packed, and it was packed with like bachelorette parties. Basically, you get a card that has all music things on it, and then they play a song like for 3 minutes. And if your song's on the card, you basically play bingo. And I thought maybe, all right, I'll pay attention. But they were giving out dildos and like really just like used air fryers as prizes. I lasted like one drink and I said, I'm out of here. Waste of time. But it was good to see Gary. That was the whole point. And that's about it. What time is it? I got so much to do. I wanted to come to the studio and do a show because this is what I'm doing out here right now, and I got to oblige my commitments. And here I am. And plus, this isn't so hard. This is perfect. A little 20-minute. Hey, what's up? And so I told a good story today. Had if you were listening, I hope you liked it. And I have to go get it. It doesn't end. One of my tires rotted out. Thank God I didn't get a blowout. I got to get that tire changed. Then I got to go to a friend of mine's mom's house and pick up a recliner and a bed because I'm sleeping on an air mattress right now. And then I gotta get a table from another friend. So I'm gonna be driving around all over. But I had to make sure I made an effort to come back and say what's up. I will be here tomorrow. Tomorrow I think I'm going to have Eddie Finciaro on. If anybody knows him, he's a very I think he's on Sirius. He has a very big radio program, and I gotta stop saying fuck. He's coming on tomorrow, and we're gonna talk. He's a Stern fan, Star Wars fan, and just an all around good guy. I've done his show a bunch of times, and I can figure out what his story is. 'Cause I don't know his story. I just know he's everywhere on my Facebook feed and stuff, and he has a fun show. So Eddie Finciaro tomorrow. We'll figure out a time. I'll post shit and stuff. But thanks a lot for being here, everybody. I appreciate it. Stay tuned. Check out my YouTube shit. Don't forget my book. Gorilla Parts is still available. You see those stories that I just told? The book is full of stories like that. Stories that sometimes have to do with Howard Stern and sometimes they don't have to do with Howard Stern. It has to do with my family, all my years in the nightclub, all my years on The Sopranos. Just check it out. It's just a lot of cool fucking stories. And I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. The struggle is real. Thanks, YouTube.